Welcome to Live Interactive English. This is Shane.
And this is Karen. Today we are looking at a story, and it's part 1 of Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Ooh.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, these two people, or should I say one person,
You're giving it away.
are pretty famous, right? Because when we think of this story, you might not even really, like for me, without reading the story, I actually don't really know what the story is about.
Exactly.
But in popular culture, we all know that when you say somebody is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you mean that it's like they have a split personality.
Like one person having 2 different personalities.
And typically it's like one is like very like nice and calm and normal, and then the other one is very mean or cruel. Evil. Kind of like good and bad. Good
That's
and evil.
right. So we're going to tell everybody why we would say someone is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde if they have a split personality, right?
Yeah, do you have a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of thing going on with your personality? Like in some situations, you're really sweet, but then you can change into this
I am
scary.
usually very, very sweet. See, every time you see me, I'm always happy, smiling. But you don't mess with Karen.
That's true. I've tried to mess with her before, and nope, she will definitely switch to another person. And it's not something you want to see.
That's right.
All right, let's get into our story.
Okay.
Our strange tale begins with a trusted lawyer named Mr. Utterson on a walk with his cousin, Mr. Enfield. Enfield tells Utterson of a disturbing event he witnessed in which a man trampled on a young girl. To apologize, the man, whose name was Mr. Hyde, returned later with a check for the girl's family. However, the check was signed with a different name, Dr. Jekyll. Coincidentally, Dr. Jekyll is a client of Utterson's. In fact, Jekyll had recently changed his will to leave all his money to someone by the name of Mr. Hyde in the event of the doctor's death or disappearance. Utterson is concerned that Jekyll is being blackmailed by this mysterious Mr. Hyde, so he starts to investigate.
Okay, so the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Part 1.
That's right. We're going to tell you guys this really, really famous story.
Yes, it's an interesting tale.
That's right. So let's begin. Our strange tale begins with a trusted lawyer named Mr. Utterson on a walk with his cousin, Mr. Enfield.
Okay, we got a lawyer and his cousin.
That's right, Mr. Enfield. Enfield tells Utterson of a disturbing event he witnessed. Something that disturbs him, something that doesn't sound very pleasant,
Made him
right?
uncomfortable, yeah.
That bothers him. Okay, so in which a man trampled on a young girl. Trampled.
Trampled on a young girl.
That's right. So trample basically just means step heavily on something or someone, causing serious injury.
Oh, yeah, right. You know, like, it's kind of dangerous in like some concerts that you go to if you're like in a small venue and then like there's a fire or something bad happens, people do get trampled.
That's right.
And it's pretty dangerous. Okay, all right, so a young girl got trampled. That is disturbing.
So what does that mean?
It means it making you feel anxious and upset or shocked.
It's not a pleasant feeling.
Right, so for example, you could say, that newspaper article was so disturbing. I wish I had never read it.
Aww.
It's so sad.
That's right. And then we also have this word here, witness. And we're using it as a verb here. So to witness means to see, hear, or know by personal presence or perception. To witness an accident. That means to be there to see the accident for yourself. So, for example, you could say, she witnessed our wedding. Or you could also say, Betty was pleased she had lived long enough to witness the birth of her grandchild. So she was able to see it for herself.
And you said we're using it as a verb. So if you witness something, then you are a witness, right?
Exactly.
So you could also use it as a noun. Okay, continuing. To apologize, the man, whose name was Mr. Hyde, returned later with a check for the girl's family. Okay, so a check meaning like some money, right?
Right.
A check is basically like money that you give people a piece of paper, then they can deposit that in their bank account and get money. Okay, so he gave money to the girl's family. However, the check was signed with a different name, Dr. Jekyll.
That is odd.
So Mr. Hyde gives a check, but the signature on it says Dr. Jekyll.
Because if it's a personal check, it should be from you, right? If you were to give me a check, then you would be signing the check.
I would sign it as Shane Rendleman.
Exactly. That would be a personal check. But why was it signed by?
Dr. Jekyll.
I have no idea.
Okay,
well, let's continue. Coincidentally, Dr. Jekyll is a client of Utterson's. In fact, Jekyll had recently changed his will to leave all his money to someone by the name of Mr. Hyde in the event of the doctor's death or disappearance.
Okay, so a will is basically a document, a legal document, where you basically tell people what you want done with your possessions, your money, these things after you pass away. Okay, so if anything were to happen to him, then he had written this all in his will. Okay, so Utterson is concerned that Jekyll is being blackmailed by this mysterious Mr. Hyde. So he starts to investigate.
Okay.
All right, so coincidentally, that's an adverb, which just means resulting from a coincidence. And of course, we know a coincidence is something that's not planned or arranged, but seems like it is.
That's right.
Technically, a coincidence is an occurrence of events that happen at the same time by total accident.
Exactly. So if I went to the supermarket and I see you there, we didn't plan on meeting there, then I would say, hey, what a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
You're here and I'm here too.
I would probably try to hide. If I saw you,
Hey.
oh no, it's Karen. Run.
That's not very
So
nice.
I don't know if it's going to be the good Karen or the evil Karen, so I got to get out of there. So what does blackmail mean?
Okay, so to blackmail somebody, it just means to use secret information to get something from them, usually money. Blackmailing is a crime. Blackmail is a type of threat. So it's like, if you don't do this for me, then I will do this to you. If you don't give me this much money, then I will maybe hurt you.
Harm your family.
Exactly.
Okay, we have another vocabulary word, investigate. So this is a verb. So to investigate means to carefully examine the facts of a situation, an event, a crime, etc. To find out the truth about it or how it happened. So for example, you could say the police are investigating a number of robberies.
So they're trying to find out what happened in these robberies.
Precisely.
All right.
Interesting story so far, getting a little bit confusing, you know, but hopefully it's going to get all cleared up after the break.
All right.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这一次要读的故事是《Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde》， 变身怪医。那么故事一开始，一位值得信赖的律师 Mr. Utterson 和他的表弟 Mr. Enfield 他们在散步。那么表弟把他所目睹的一个令人不安的事件告诉律师。在这个事件当中，有一名男子践踏了一名年轻女孩。那为了要道歉，这一名叫做 Mr. Hyde 海德先生的男子，后来就带着一张支票回来给女孩的家人。可是啊，支票上面却签着另外一个名字是 Dr. Jekyll 杰克尔医生。那巧合的是，杰克尔医生就是这名律师 Mr. Utterson 的客户。这个医生最近才修改了遗嘱，万一他死亡啊，或是失踪，要把所有的钱留给一名叫做海德先生的人。那律师就担心说，这个医生会不会受到海德先生的勒索，因此就开始调查了。好，单字 disturbing， 它是形容词，形容令人不安的，引起烦恼的。那老师在讲解时用到 uncomfortable， 就是 comfortable 前面加上否定字首 un， 那是形容不自在的、不舒服的。下一个单字 witness， 它是动词，表示亲眼看见、目睹。那它也可以当名词来表达目击者或者是证人。再看到 investigate 这个动词，它表示探究、调查、审查。那补充单字 trample 是动词，表示踩、践踏。Shane 老师在聊到那种小而拥挤的场地，在看表演时，有可能会发生危险的踩人意外。那老师用到 venue 这个字 ，venue venue 表示会场、场地。好，另外一个补充单字 coincidentally， 它是指碰巧地、巧合地。那么 Shane 老师在解释时，他用到 occurrence， 就是 occur 后面再重复一个 r， 再加 ence。occurrence 表示事件啊、发生的事情，或是发生、出现的意思。那这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，这边我们来学习。In the event of 加上名词，表示万一怎么样，若是发生什么什么的话。In the event 之后可以接 of 加名词，或者是接 that 子句，那它就跟 in case 意思用法相同。举例来说 ，The show will be moved indoors in the event of rain， 或是说 The show will be moved indoors in the event that it rains。 万一下雨的话，表演将会在室内举行。好，接回到课文中。
Hyde had frequently been spotted entering a rather dirty-looking building, which is actually an apartment attached to Jekyll's home. When visiting the building, Utterson comes face-to-face with Hyde, who is a short, ugly character. Then, one cold October night, a servant girl sees the brutal murder of a politician. She says the attacker was Mr. Hyde, but when the police go to his apartment, they cannot find him. Even Jekyll doesn't know where the suspect is and claims that he has run away.
Welcome back, everybody. So a quick recap. All right, we've got a few characters here. We have Mr. Utterson, who's a lawyer, his cousin, Mr. Enfield, and we've got Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll.
Wait, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Yeah.
Are you talking about two people?
Well, that
We don't
is
know.
interesting. Yes.
Okay.
So basically, there was like a terrible event where a girl got trampled. And Mr. Hyde had given the family a check.
That's right.
But it was signed Dr. Jekyll. And Utterson is actually the lawyer of Dr. Jekyll. And recently, Dr. Jekyll had said if anything happened to him, that he would leave everything to Mr. Hyde. So he's getting a little bit concerned now that Mr. Hyde is blackmailing Dr. Jekyll, and he wants to start doing some investigating.
Ooh, okay, so we're going to find out what happens next.
Okay.
Hyde had frequently been spotted entering a rather dirty-looking building, which is actually an apartment attached to Jekyll's home. So the building is actually attached to Jekyll's home. That means they're together.
Right.
Right? Okay. So when visiting the building, Utterson comes face to face with Hyde, who is a short, ugly character. Oh, so they come face to face. They see each other in person.
Yeah, and he's short and ugly. Okay, interesting. Then, one cold October night, a servant girl sees the brutal murder of a politician. So when we say there is a brutal murder, I mean, murder's pretty brutal to begin with. But if you say something's a brutal murder, you mean it's violent and cruel.
That's right.
So for example, you can say a terrorist group was behind the brutal attack last month.
That's right. And murder just means to kill somebody, right?
Correct. And if you kill someone, you're a murderer.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's continue. She says the attacker was Mr. Hyde. But when the police go to his apartment, they cannot find him. Even Jekyll doesn't know where the suspect is and claims that he has run away. So even Jekyll doesn't know where the suspect is. So a suspect, that is a noun. It's a person who is suspected of a crime or having done something wrong. So it's like, oh, maybe he killed a guy. He is the suspect.
Right. To suspect means that you think somebody did something, right?
Well, there's no evidence yet, but people think that he did it.
Right.
So, for example, you could say there are several suspects, but it isn't yet clear which one is responsible.
Okay, so even though Dr. Jekyll lives pretty much right next to Mr. Hyde, he doesn't know where he is, thinks he's run off. It's pretty interesting, the story so far, but, you know, it's a bit of a mystery right
That's
now.
right, but Mr. Hyde just seems like really, really mean, and he doesn't seem like a good guy.
He's ugly and mean.
That's right.
Okay, all right, that's all the time we have for today, but we're not done here. We still have part 2, so we can find out what happens with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
That's right, so we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
刚刚说到，律师担心他的客户杰克尔医生受到了海德先生的勒索，于是就开始调查。那么海德先生经常被发现进入一栋看起来很肮脏的建筑，那其实是一间隶属于杰克尔医生家的公寓。那在造访那一栋建筑物的时候，律师就迎面碰上海德先生，他是个身材矮小、丑陋的人。那后来在10月某一个寒冷的夜晚，一名女仆就看见一位政治人物遭到残忍谋杀。她说袭击者就是海德先生。可是当警方去他的公寓时，却找不到他。就连杰克尔医生也不知道嫌疑犯在哪里，声称说他已经逃跑了。好，单字 brutal 它是形容词，形容残暴的、残酷无情的。那么 suspect 它当名词表示嫌疑犯，这个字也可以当动词表示怀疑、猜想。那要注意发音哦，它当动词是念作 suspect。好，这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。这边我们来学习 spot 当感官动词，是指发现、看见、注意到，常常用 spot 加受词加上现在分词 VING 来表达看到什么什么正在做某事。那被动语它也会是 be spotted 加上动词 ING， 就是表达被看见正在做某事。举个例子 ，We spotted a squirrel jumping from branch to branch。我们看见一只松鼠在树枝上跳来跳去。好，那以上这些讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Our strange tale begins with a trusted lawyer named Mr. Utterson on a walk with his cousin, Mr. Enfield. Enfield tells Utterson of a disturbing event he witnessed in which a man trampled on a young girl. To apologize, the man, whose name was Mr. Hyde, returned later with a check for the girl's family. However, the check was signed with a different name, Dr. Jekyll. Coincidentally, Dr. Jekyll is a client of Utterson's. In fact, Jekyll had recently changed his will to leave all his money to someone by the name of Mr. Hyde in the event of the doctor's death or disappearance. Utterson is concerned that Jekyll is being blackmailed by this mysterious Mr. Hyde, so he starts to investigate. Hyde had frequently been spotted entering a rather dirty-looking building, which is actually an apartment attached to Jekyll's home. When visiting the building, Utterson comes face-to-face with Hyde, who is a short, ugly character. Then, one cold October night, a servant girl sees the brutal murder of a politician. She says the attacker was Mr. Hyde, but when the police go to his apartment, they cannot find him. Even Jekyll doesn't know where the suspect is and claims that he has run away.
Wow, this party's in full swing.
I'm a total party animal.
Party animal? What, are you gonna turn into a wolf or something?
No, silly. I'm a party animal. I like going to parties and socializing. I'm always the last one to leave a party.
Okay. I thought you were gonna start howling at the moon or something. Hi everyone! Today's idiom is party animal!
Yes, and it doesn't mean someone is literally an animal at a party.
Exactly. Okay, a party animal is a person who loves to party and is often seen at parties, clubs, or any social gathering.
Right, so they are the life of the party. They love to dance, socialize, and just have a good time.
That's right. For example, you could say, my friend is a real party animal. She's always the last one to leave the party.
Or he's such a party animal, he goes to a party every weekend.
Not every weekend. But remember, being a party animal is not always a good thing. It's important to also focus on your responsibilities, take care of your health.
Stay hydrated.
Yes.
Absolutely, Shane. That's all for today. See you next time.
Bye. Bye-bye. Oh, we're partying?
Oh yeah, we're partying.